Hey loves, welcome to my channel. Today we are making banga soup at Semovita. Banga literally means palm fruits, and we are going to be eating it with Semovita. Semovita is gotten from corn. I'll show you how everything is being prepared. Banga soup is one of my favorite soups, so I can't wait to show you guys how I prepare my. We're starting off by washing the palm fruits. I got this one from the market. I normally use the one that has been extracted, but I couldn't find the brand that I'm used to, and I didn't want to experiment, so I just decided to buy the real palm fruits. So the first thing you do is just to pick out the dirt and wash for 3 to 4 times to get rid of all the sands and dirt. Even while you're washing, you see most of the leaves, dried leaves attached to the palm fruits. Try and pick out those ones. Then, after washing, add in water, enough water to cover up the palm fruits. Then you put it on the fire and cook for like 30 minutes. Palm fruits is the carrier of palm oil that we use in cooking soups here in Nigeria. Can use your palm oil to make things like yam porridge, beans, soups. So this is actually the carrier of the palm oil. It has two types actually here in the local markets. They are called agric and native. I'm using both in this recipe. I'm going to be using fresh chicken. I bought old layer. Be using cow tripe, popularly known as shaki, fresh fish, and some dried fish. Started off by washing the chicken as soon as I got back from the market. It was actually killed there and dressed. So I just brought it back home, washed and kept aside. The shaki, thank God I was able to see the one that has been prepared also. It's been thoroughly washed and scraped. It was even frozen, so I had to cut it into halves because it was too big. I know when it's done, it shrinks, but I had to cut it again. So I seasoned with seasoning powder, added onions, and a little bit of salt, and had to steam for 3 minutes before adding in water. But it actually depends on your burner. If your burner is fast, then 3 minutes should be okay. But if it's slow, you can make it like 4 to 5 minutes before adding water. I won't be using too much fresh fish. I don't like too much fresh fish in my soup. I rather go for dried fish. So in this recipe, I'm using fresh fish and dried fish. I'm washing all the fish that I bought. I'll be picking about 6 pieces from it to add to the soup. Then after 3 minutes, I had to add water to the chicken and the cow tripe to ensure it cooks very well. I blended fresh pepper, habanero, onions, and crayfish. Just those three things. Meanwhile, I had to check on the palm fruits and it was almost ready. To know if your palm fruit is ready, there's this thin line on it. Yeah, that line there. That's actually a sign that your palm fruit is ready. So I washed my mortar, added towel on the floor to protect the floor, and poured in the palm fruit after straining. Then I had to sit down to pound this one because though it was quite soft, but this is where the work of banga soup generally lies. You have to sit down, in my own case, to pound thoroughly so I'll be able to extract the juice from it. There are different ways of extracting the juice. Like if you don't have a mortar, you could use your hands, but make sure it's cold. So after cooking, spread it, allow it to cool down. Then just use your hand to squeeze it together before pouring in your water to extract the juice. You can also use bottle. I remember when I was in university, I used to make banga soup. So I used like a beer bottle, it's strong, or a Coca-Cola bottle to like pound in a bowl just for me to eat banga soup. So if you also have, I think a food processor, yeah, you can use a food processor. It will make you look like this when you're done. So it was very hot after pounding. I had to use water from the tap. Or if it's cold, just boil water and add your hot water first before adding cold water. Make it warm to be able to extract everything. In my own case, it was very, very hot. I had to cool it down a bit with room temperature water. After which I extracted everything. I extracted it twice because I wanted it to be very clean. So just use your sieve or strain. It should look like this when you're done. So just dispose. But if you want to get your black oil from the seed, that's like a story for another day. So back to my soup. I had to bring in the extracted juice to boil and check on the meat. It was ready, but the cow tripe was still very hard. So I had to remove the meat, the chicken and the cow tripe, set aside, added in chopped onions and the pepper mix. As you can see, the soup is already boiling. It was like after 10 minutes. I had to pour in the shake because I noticed it was still very strong. So I'm using urobo spices for this particular banga recipe. I've blended everything, the stick. Yeah, I have a particular customer who is from the south of Nigeria. She's an Urobo woman. She's the one who gives me these spices. So I added about 3 tablespoons of the powder and 3 tablespoons of the leaves to the soup. Just add and stir. You don't cover the soup until it's ready, until you turn off the heat. Just leave it open because it might boil over. After 10 minutes, pour in the stock and seasoning cube. Then add the chicken, the cow tripe, fish, that's the dried fish and the fresh fish, and any other proteins that you're using to make this delicacy. Stir gently because of the fresh fish that you're adding. Stir gently and allow to cook for about 10 to 15 minutes or until it thickens. I do not use any thickener to cook my banga soup. I just allow it to thicken on its own. At this point, ensure that everything is added in the soup, including salt. While we're waiting for the soup to be ready, I had to make the semovita so everything will be ready at the same time. the soup when the semovita was done, and I stirred. And as you can see, it's already thick. It's going to get thicker when it's cold, so I had to turn off the heat and serve hot. If you've watched this video till this point, I would say a very big thank you to you. To my new subscribers, thanks for stopping by. Kindly subscribe to this channel, and to my returning subscribers, thanks so much for your kind words, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.